Welcome back to another edition of Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Richie O'Leary, and joined today, as always, my co-host, Alec Crouthamel. Alec, no Mike today, so a little bit weird, a little bit different. I'm kind of running the show for a change. So anyway, this podcast is sponsored by FanDuel. FanDuel, the number one sportsbook app on the web. Alec, Saturday, we were both there. Scrimmage, first scrimmage of the training camp. I guess just give me your overall kind of thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was a good scrimmage. It took a while, as it usually does, but I thought we saw a lot of different things from both sides. We saw a lot of different contributors as well. A lot of guys that are probably going to play roles, big time roles this year. Yeah, it was a good scrimmage, I would say. Obviously we can't say everything that we see, so I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but making sure that I don't accidentally say something. But I thought it was good. I thought we saw a lot. I thought it was kind of eye-opening, some of the roles that different guys are going to play, at least if that scrimmage is any indication of what we could see during the season. But I thought it was a good time. A lot of football.
Yeah, let's not get banned from practice. So let's not say what we can't say, but we can kind of highlight what Greg Schiano said in the press conference and a couple other things as well. I want to start off with, I guess, kind of some of the areas for improvement. He's talked about the run defense specifically. Do you think it's just a matter of just the linebackers being green? Is it a matter of a defensive line room? I know some guys were still sick, so they weren't missing some dudes too on the defense.
Yeah, I think the defensive line was kind of impacted the most by guys who weren't playing, so that could definitely be a part of it. That there just weren't all the guys that we figure are going to play roles that were there. I felt like it was definitely a bit of the defensive line kind of struggle. I feel like the linebackers, as they get more experience, it's one thing to practice, but it's another thing to, really play in a game environment in the stadium. That's another thing that Schiano talked about after the scrimmage, where he talked about, he learned early in his coaching career that, if you keep the stadium like a kind of a sacred thing and you really only go to it for games or game-like environments, it helps, kind of bring the intensity up for those things that do happen in the stadium. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's definitely a bit of a change of scenery from, the usual practice stuff. So I think that could have also played a part in it. It might have benefited the offense in that regard. But yeah, it felt like the front seven, definitely the offensive line definitely performed better than the front seven, I think. Just, in terms of a whole, I think that might – I'm not sure – See, I'm still trying to choose, but I haven't done this before, so I'm trying to. In case it sounds like I'm stumbling a little bit, I'm trying to figure out how to word things.
No, you're doing fine.
Yeah. What?
You're doing fine.
Oh, thank you. It seemed like it seemed like the linebackers are still kind of finding their form. I mean, Daryl Jabome, we know, is going to play a huge role. Moses Walker is going to be the other guy to start. That's what Schiano said earlier on in training camp. Then we also saw a couple guys that haven't played some of those big time roles just yet, kind of adjusting to those bigger reps and roles against some of the bigger offensive guys. So I think it's just kind of a work in progress right now. And still midway through training camp, we got 16 days until the first game of the season. So I think it's a work in progress.
Yeah, he also said the importance of live tackling. I know I asked him about the defense and the adjustments, and this is where he brought it up. But they've been thudding the entire time. They're not actually tackling in practice because you don't want to hurt anyone. So when you got to a scrimmage, you're actually full on tackling. And he said that's been the main difference in this or on Saturday, because the guys were going from third and 8 to 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 3 even. So, I mean, hell, even 1 yard's a difference, let alone 4 or 5. So it does make a difference. I think the more live tackling they'll do closer to game day, I think the better these guys will do on defense. I think there's still some question marks, and it's a whole different unit. It's not just different players, but it's different coaches too. I just realized this the other day, and I obviously know it, but 2 DB coaches, 2 co-DCs, one's a linebackers coach, technically a new defensive tackles coach. So there's a lot of changes. On top of it all, you added upwards of 8 transfers on defense. I think it was something like that, maybe a little less than that. No, join 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think 7 or 8. So it is kind of crazy. But you mentioned offensive line, and it's not just on Saturday, but we also heard the Big Ten crew rave about it. We just talked to Jake Butt the other day, and he was raving about the offensive line too. This looks like a Big Ten offensive line. It plays like a Big Ten offensive line, and they're deep. They have a bunch of different dudes that they can kind of rotate in.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Butt said also they look like an NFL offensive line.
Yeah.
Obviously not, going to be the best in the country, I think. But just the way that they're able to be physical at the point of attack and just kind of, do their job. I think obviously Pat Flaherty's done a huge part in that. And I think the interior being the same as it was last year and even a couple of years before that, even 2 years ago, I think that interior kind of really helps things progress forward. And then you have a guy like, Tyler Needham, who has played the last 2 years and started the last 2 years, or was supposed to start 2023, but got hurt, but started last year at tackle as well. So I think having that experience and even guys like, that could be in the mix, like a Taj White or even a Dante Chin, who saw some snaps last year, they got that starting experience, when Needham went down with injury. And then when Felter also went down with injury, having those guys kind of waiting in the wings, or even if there's like a battle for a position in training camp, having that experience, I think, has been huge. I think in the trenches the most for the Big Ten in particular, because you know how the Big Ten works. That's the reputation, ground and pound, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I think having that experience, having that playing experience has been a huge help, and it's kind of helped them get set in the right direction for training camp.
Yeah, so now we know this is more than likely always going to be a run-first team under Schiano, but he had some high praise for the quarterback, especially Athan. Even AJ got some really high praise, not just between Schiano, but also the Big Ten Network crew, and we kind of highlighted all that in our last pod. But what do you think, what do you think Athan's ceiling is this year? Can he hit, I feel like 3,000 yards is way too many.
It seems like a lot.
2,800?
I mean, yeah, I think that he threw for what, 26...
96.
96. So, I mean, this is, another thing that the BTN guys said, this was more of a pass-focused this could be more of a pass-focused offense, especially when you talk about the receivers that they have. So if you use some of his sample size of November, and now I'm not saying he's going to be that good for the entire season, especially considering they play much better teams throughout the year. But I think if he can kind of keep up close to that standard, he could get close to 3,000 yards. I mean, looking at some of the game logs from the last 5 games, so including the bowl game as well. I mean, so against Minnesota, he threw for 240 yards. Maryland threw for 238. Now, Illinois and Michigan State threw for 174 and 157. So, the yardage department maybe wasn't as much there. But against USC, he threw for 313 yards and a touchdown. I think he could definitely get close. It would be a really high percentile outcome if he reaches that mark, and if he throws for 25 touchdowns or something like that also. But if we see kind of a shift in how the offense goes into more pass heavy, I mean, it could definitely get close.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the wide receiver room, and you talked to DT Sheffield the other day, so you can talk about that in a second. But between him, between Ian Strong, between KJ Duff, hell, Ben Black, even the young guys, we saw Vernon Allen shine pretty bright in the spring game. I'm huge on Jordan Houston's potential. I think he might be the best freshman in the group. And then on top of it, you got Michael Thomas too, who's really talented in his own right. So just I guess basically you don't even have to talk about the wide receiver room because you kind of just did. But tell me what DT Sheffield had to say on Monday.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how it's a lot of the similar things that we hear from players whenever we talk to them about how growing day by day as a team. He's already adopted that mindset. A lot of his answers, he kind of ended with just taking it day by day and things like that. So obviously he's fully ingrained in the team culture. And the question I was really curious to ask him was, he is a veteran in college football, played for, I think this is his 3rd team, I want to say, or maybe 4th if you count JUCO, I think.
If you count JUCO, yeah, because Washington State, North Texas,
Rutgers, JUCO.
Rutgers, yeah.
But this is his first year at Rutgers, obviously. Yeah. And then you have guys like Ian Strong and KJ Duff. It's, they are younger guys in terms of, how much college football they played, but they're more veterans at Rutgers, where Duff has been there for, this will be his 2nd year, and Strong, this will be his 3rd. So, I asked him, how do you guys kind of bounce learning experiences off each other where, you've been in a few different places? Well, Ian and KJ have been at Rutgers. He said that they all kind of like learn together. He tries to kind of take things from their games and they do the same with him. We've heard that about a couple of the positions where they're always just kind of like working with each other to kind of add things from their teammates' games to their own games. When we heard Ethan say that earlier on in training camp about his relationship with AJ Serace, where he said obviously he's not great at everything at quarterback. So if you see something that AJ tries to is better at, tries to take it from his game and add to his own, and then vice versa, AJ tries to add it from Ethan's game. So I thought it was interesting to see how these positions kind of work with each other. And how they build those relationships. So, it seems like like I said, he's already fully in on the team culture, the program culture, and he's ready to get the season going.
Yeah. Now I should have mentioned this before when talking about the linebackers, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Abram Wright's recovery. He mentioned him. He highlighted him. Said he's basically almost back. It seems like he's going to play a significant role after what we thought was a pretty serious, it looked like a knee injury, I guess, last year. We don't really know for sure because they don't release that. But having him back, how much of an impact should we expect out of him?
I think it's huge because we were talking about the linebacker room. This is a position group that it didn't really seem like it had a lot of depth. It was a bit thin. But having someone like Abram Wright, who, if he's ready to go game one, that's even better. Who it seemed like he was kind of coming on as the season went on, even that Minnesota game when he got injured. It seemed like his role had just been getting bigger and bigger, and he'd been improving as it went on as well. So just having another guy who, again, had Big Ten experience with Tyreen Powell battling some injuries last year, he had to rotate in a lot more as well. So so it was him, Moses Walker. Obviously, Jabome played a huge role next to him. So just having another guy with that Big Ten experience playing, I think, is going to be a big time help. He's a really good athlete, also. Just having another one of those athletes on the field. Schiano had already said that Moses Walker and Daryl Jabome are going to be the main two guys, but. Behind those two, it gets a little thin. So just having a guy like Abram Wright out there, and then if there's a younger guy that steps up, maybe someone like a Sam Robinson or someone like that who spent a year in the program already, maybe they could play another depth role as well. So I think just having another guy in the mix immediately now, how quickly is he going to get back to his prime form? Again, he had that season-ending injury. We don't know. But just having him, it seems like, getting closer to playing and getting back to his peak form, I think is going to be a huge help.
Yeah. Going just through the rest of the press conference, I think the last thing that was pretty notable was he addressed the ongoing legal situation with Jet Elad. I think we can both agree on this, that Jet's going to play this year, and I don't think anyone's really going to stop him. And NCAA can try, but, you know how these court cases and this litigation goes. It's going to – hell, it might not even happen until he's probably beyond gone from Rutgers.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point, it won't even matter because he will have played his year for Rutgers, and then I don't think the NCAA can really do anything truly meaningful.
Yeah, and in an ideal world, he's probably in the NFL by next year. But, last but not least from the press conference, he talked about meeting new athletic director, Keli Zinn, expressed a lot of confidence in her. I know she just released a giant, I shouldn't say giant, it was pretty long though, a big letter to the Rutgers University and the Scarlet Faithful, not the Scarlet Faithful podcast, but the Scarlet Faithful. Thank you, Aaron, for replying to that tweet and saying that. What'd you think overall of, I guess, the tone from Schiano on Keli Zinn, and also what'd you think of her letter, even though she didn't pick a side for Taylor Hammer Porkroll? A little disappointed.
I thought she should have planted a flag down on either side. I think
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's Porkroll, but
100%.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they're starting to meet. I know she addressed the team a few days ago in practice as well. That was posted too. I think it was interesting that he just mentioned, I think he mentioned this with the Big Ten guys as well when they came to training camp, just, making sure that there's support there for the program. So I think it's going to be a growing relationship. Obviously, like we've mentioned, she worked with Brian Kelly at LSU. She has that football background where she, LSU might be one of the most lucrative athletic departments and football programs in the country. So it's all about trying to use those skills that you learn and developed, whether it's at LSU or at West Virginia, another place with some, pretty high level football, maybe not as lucrative as LSU, but trying to apply those to Rutgers and seeing how they can continue to get support. Yeah, I thought it was. I didn't read the entire statement, but I thought it was a lot of what she's kind of echoed for a lot of her time so far since kind of kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought she's definitely hit the ground running with trying to attack it, as she put it. She said, attack each day with intensity, drive, and a commitment to excellence. Obviously, that's what you want from an athletic director. But I think
Of course.
just the way that she's hit the ground running and kind of pledged to attack a lot of different aspects for supporting Rutgers and in the new age of college athletics, I think has been a really good sign.
Yeah. Now, she's not the only one coming over from LSU. We know President William Tate did, and you kind of low-key broke the news on 2 new hires from LSU as well. It's not – I don't know if we have a lot of information on them. What do you got? Anything, really? Or just their bios, basically?
Not a ton, at least obviously my expertise is not on the academic side, as you can probably tell. It's on the sports side. I do think it's interesting that he's bringing in a lot of people from LSU, not even just for the athletics, but also the academics. Mm-hmm. Let me just make sure that I find who.
Because one of them technically resigned, right? And that kind of goes back to the whole thing where there was like a fight between the state and LSU.
Right. That's the interesting thing. Kimberly Lewis is the new executive VP and chief administrative officer. Mm-hmm. And in the statement, President Tate said that she will oversee the administrative activities of the university, including institutional planning and operations and the university finance and administration, which includes university human resources and the Office of Information Technology, all that stuff. So it seems like she's going to be in charge of a lot of different things. It was interesting, like you mentioned, she resigned back in February. In her resignation letter, it kind of read like she was pushed out.
Yeah.
Which kind of, like you mentioned, kind of sits with how it seemed like Tate was also battling the state government as well. So So this is what her resignation letter said. It said, "I hereby tender my resignation as Executive Vice President for Finance and Chief Administrative Officer for Louisiana State University in accordance with our discussion."
AKA pushed out.
Yeah.
But so people that are like panicking over that, like, because Rutgers is hiring people that were pushed out of LSU, like LSU wants, or the state of Louisiana wants a lot more control in LSU's like finances and everything else. Essentially kind of what the state of New Jersey does with Rutgers. So it's just a different world. They want more power down there from the state government for the state university. So they basically just said, screw it. We're out. Like, we're not doing this. And that's why it's part of the reason William Tate ended up taking the Rutgers job. It's part of the reason why these other people are taking Rutgers over LSU. But anytime you get like people from LSU, I feel like you have to kind of like be like, oh, that's pretty good. Like LSU, right. I don't know where LSU stands academically, but I think it's pretty similar to Rutgers. Is not. I know Rutgers is higher, but I mean, academic standings. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't really know.
I think in Tate's statement, actually, he said, I thought it was interesting. He noted, only 2 university systems or family of state universities have at least 3 institutions ranked in the top 50 public universities in the country, and that's Cal and Rutgers. So
LSU is not as high as I thought.
No, yeah, I think he definitely recognizes, the academic prestige that Rutgers has. And according to the article from the Louisiana Illuminator, from when Lewis did resign, it said that she has butted heads with the Board of Supervisors members aligned with the Louisiana governor, so in the state government. At an October board executive committee meeting, Lewis exchanged terse words with Lee Mallet, a political donor who gave tens of thousands of dollars to Landry's election efforts. And then a little bit farther down, I misread that. But either way, she had battled with the state government. And like you mentioned, the state government's trying to take a little bit more control in the university. So it kind of makes sense. It kind of also, I guess, factors into why Tate left as well.
Fair. Last but not least, this was week 1.
I was going to mention the other appointment.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So there were 2 appointments.
See, no mic here. We're just off the rails.
Yeah, exactly. Things are completely out of control. So the other one, so Lewis will be appointed effective immediately. This next one, Dr. Keena Arbuthnot, I hope I pronounced that right, as the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Chief Academic Officer effective August 18th, which is in a week. So still. So she'll oversee the university's central academic and research policy and support functions. So again, a big time academic role. Once again, someone else from LSU. So it's Tate's statement said that she joins Rutgers following her service as the VP and Chief Data Officer, and also the Dean of the Pinky Gordon Lane Graduate School, and also a Joan Pender McManus Distinguished Professor of Education at LSU. She led the Office of Data and Strategic Analytics. She advanced efforts to modernize, data infrastructure, developed and promoted AI initiatives and programs, and align institutional data with strategic planning. So that kind of sticks out to me as kind of like a modernizing force with what she brought to LSU, and I'm wondering if she kind of does the same with Rutgers as well.
No, I'm good to go. Last but not least, first week of NFL preseason this past week, a couple Rutgers guys shined pretty bright, especially Eric Rogers, who had the highest PFF grade out of all rookies, or was it all players in general? It might have been all players in general. I got to double check on that. But either way, 2 picks, 1 pick six, pretty good day. But ended the day on crutches.
Oh, he did? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, hurt. I think it's his ankle. I think he'll be okay. But the only reason I saw it is because the Chargers tweeted out the game ball, and it was him on crutches getting the game ball. So,
well, that's not ideal. But yeah, he looked. I mean, he looked pretty good in the highlights. Obviously, when you get a pick six and then another pick in the fourth quarter, I think he showed some great ball skills on both those picks as well. Those were not easy; they were not thrown right to him. He really had to make a play on it for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was pretty impressive. And yeah, Monangai, I thought showed some flashes definitely. Although he did kind of get a bit blown up in pass protection on one rep as kind of your welcome to the NFL moment. But
yeah,
we saw him at Rutgers. He'll figure it out in the pass blocking.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's there.
Exactly.
He's in the right spots.
Yeah, it's just about the physicality and all that, which I'm sure he'll get better with. But also he showed some nice runs as well. I think I saw a lot of Bears fans that are like, do we have a running back controversy in Chicago?
Yeah.
It was a lot of the same things that we saw at Rutgers, where it's, he has his own run and he kind of cuts back, has great footwork and balance. He just stays up. He just refuses to go down. He keeps the legs churning. I mean, again, if you watched some of his highlights from the game, it's a lot of what we saw from him at Rutgers. So yeah, pretty solid start. I think those were the main 2 standouts.
Yeah, I know there was a couple concerns about Monangai for the sole fact that they were bringing in. I think they brought in 4 running backs this week for workouts in Chicago, but they didn't sign any of them. So potentially good sign for Monangai's chances of playing. And then Eric Rogers is such a unique case to me, and I feel like we talk about this every year for the sole fact that there's a defensive back at Rutgers. He's not cornerback 1. He makes the league, and then all of a sudden he's just a stud. And it's like, okay, wait, I've heard this story. Isn't that Trey Avery's story? Okay, hold on. Isn't that Christian Braswell's story? Wait a second. Now Eric Rogers is doing it? It's insane how much talent Rutgers has in that defensive backfield that they're able to do this basically every year with a guy that goes from CB3 his first year to CB2 to one of the better corners in the NFL. It's crazy to me how this keeps working and keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah, I just think it's the technical preparation, that's there in the defensive back room. And obviously we've said it over and over again, Schiano's forte is the defensive back room. And I think that the technical preparation, we see it time and time again with, the guys that they put in the NFL from the defensive back room, obviously the Patriots guys of Harmon, McCourty, Logan Ryan, Max Melton as well, I think had a pretty solid rookie year. They just kind of have that higher floor because of who they were coached by in college. They don't need as much of a learning curve with the technique. I mean,
there you go.
Even another guy who went to Rutgers but never play DB. Now he's doing it. Bo Melton. Now he's playing quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, Bo Melton's always been one of those cases where it's like a Mohamed Sanu case where it's like anywhere you put him on the field, he'll probably succeed. And it just so happened they tried him on a corner, and then he plays 30 snaps this past week. And it's like, okay, maybe the guy's pretty good.
Yeah, their wide receiver room is full of depth, and their cornerback room is not.
Yeah. So, I think he has a pretty good shot at making it 53. Guys that probably you'll see news out in the next couple of days, I'm going to assume. I don't think Dymere Miller's going to make the Jets, it sounds like, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Jaquay Jackson's an interesting case. I don't know if he'll make the Chargers or not, but he's close. Somehow Sean Bauman just keeps sticking on with Jacksonville and playing well. too, which is impressive. Holland Pierce is 50-50, it sounds like. The move to guards, definitely a questionable one, but they did it with Mekhi Becton, and it worked out pretty well for him. So we'll see if that ends up working out, if he could make that 53-man or not. I know they do like him a lot. So even if he doesn't make it, he's a guy that could be a practice squad dude. If not, there's also teams out there. Like I've seen Bears fans and Colts fans like replying to Philadelphia's tweets saying like, dude, sign him if he gets cut. Like sign him now. Holland Pierce has the potential. We know. We've seen it firsthand. Who else is in preseason? Trey Avery. Eric Rogers was probably close to making the team. I think after this week's performance, probably makes it, I would say. Knock on wood, hopefully he's healthy. Speaking of health, Robert Longerbeam out for the year, torn patella. I guess we could say it now. That's something that he's been dealing with for quite some time. Like he dealt with it at Rutgers. He dealt with other injuries last season at Rutgers. And it played a big factor on his play. So that also part of the reason the defense had some struggles last year. But he was slotted to make the 53-man. Who else? Christian Izzy stud. He's making it. Igbinosin and Shaquan Loyal both played for Baltimore and Cincinnati. So we'll see how they end up doing, if they end up making it or not. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right?
I think we know where Isaiah Pacheco's headed.
No, I don't even have to mention him at this point. I feel like I just realized he did have 3 snaps on Saturday, but yeah,
I think that was the same amount that Patrick Mahomes played as well.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what Pacheco can do this year. I think personally, and this is a little bit biased because we've seen him for so many years, and I like to support the Jersey guys and I like to watch the Rutgers guys in NFL, but I think he's going to be in there for a big year, big bounce back year, I should say. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm showing a little bit too much love, but I think he's going to be really good this season.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious as well. It seems like this was kind of like a reset for Kansas City in terms of the offseason. I mean, you get back Richie Rice, he might get suspended anyways. It seems like the receiving core is a bit more revamped. You have Travis Kelce, who quietly had one of his better blocking seasons last year, as his athleticism kind of isn't as
old, though.
Yeah, isn't what it was. So if he kind of takes on that blocking role a bit more, the guy fractured
albums and focus on football.
Yeah, and also the new Taylor Swift podcast might be the single most viewed podcast episode of all time. But the guy, hopefully, the guy fractured his leg, and he wasn't himself when coming back. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying he's going to run for 1,000 yards, or he's not going to. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but I think he'll be more effective. What I'm also interested in seeing is if they give a bit of like a split backfield with Kareem Hunt, because he actually looked pretty good down the stretch of the season when Pacheco wasn't as effective. Maybe they kind of, maybe they're using training camp in the preseason to kind of iron out the actual, snap counts and how they divide the carries, so it's a little bit more organized. I think Pacheco is going to be in for a bit of a bounce back year. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to, run for 1,000 yards, make the Pro Bowl. He could, but I'm not going to predict it. But I think he'll be more effective and more efficient this year.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see, but I'm sure we could probably talk more NFL in the future before the season starts. Before, obviously we got to preview Rutgers football too, but I think that's pretty much it. You got anything else before we sign off here?
To kind of circle back, speaking of running backs and Rutgers, I thought it was interesting in Schiano's presser when I asked him about the run game and how it looked and his thoughts on it. I thought it was interesting where he said, first off, he mentioned that Demir Shaw, the running backs coach, obviously did a great job of making sure the competition was as equitable as possible with the carries, the situations, things like that. I just thought it was interesting he mentioned 3 running backs, which kind of circles back to, I think Ja'Shawn Benjamin is going to play a bigger role than many of us think. Because it seems like from that statement, at least how I'm reading into it, seems like he's fully in the mix. I'm not saying he's going to, be the RB1. I still think that CJ Campbell's, role to lose, in my opinion. Now it could change. It could be a legit battle between him and Antoine Raymond. But I think Ja'Shawn Benjamin's, I think he's going to be in the mix. I think he's going to play a big time role this year.
Nice. That'd be interesting. I know they liked him a lot as a freshman. I mean, they used him as a freshman. He didn't redshirt. And then all of a sudden last year he got banged up a little bit. Was still able to play in four games, maintain that red shirt. So the fact that he came back tells me a lot. Despite them bringing in a running back, having Antoine Raymond, and still wanting Ja'Shawn Benjamin to come back. I personally am in the boat, and I said this in the article. I don't think it came out yet, but you'll see it soon. I said this in one of the articles I just wrote, that I think the running back room is not going to miss a beat, despite losing Kyle Monangai, who is top 3 running backs all time in program history.
I say top 2.
Yeah, I'd say probably. I don't think they're going to miss a beat this year. Now, is it going to be the same where it's just like, here you go, Kyle, go do your thing? No, I think it's going to be completely different because you have so many different backs and so many different capable backs and so many different backs. I guess that's not the word, but
a lot of diverse skill sets.
Yes, there we go. See, there we go. That's why you're here, Alec. But yeah, no, they're all different in their own way, and they're all able to do things that I don't think Kyle was able to do, but I don't think any of them can do what Kyle was able to do, if that makes sense. Everyone has a different skill. Everyone's better at one thing and worse at another. But between the 3 of them, that running back by committee could be dangerous this year. So
yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a different run game. I don't think they're going to be as effective or as efficient as they were last year. Because again, Kyle Monangai, one of the best runners, in program history.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's going to be different, but I think they'll still be effective in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's pretty much it. Going on the 30-minute mark here, so we'll just kind of let this one go, I guess. But yeah, hopefully Mike's back soon because I don't like the hosting thing. It's not fun. I feel like I don't talk as much. Is this like what Mike does? He just doesn't.
I feel like Mike talks a good amount.
Does. Mike's got it down to a science, and I just don't know how he does it. But
yeah, Mike's very good at it.
So yeah, we need Mike back. But anyway,
maybe I'll host the next episode.
All you, dude. I want nothing to do with it. But for me and Alec, that's another episode of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.